Today, we are going to be making values of one color. We're going to be making tints and shades by adding white to blue and adding black to blue. Tints and shades. You can do this with any color, but today I'm going to show my example with blue. This is also a beautifully clean palette right now. We are not going to be mixing on the pink. We're going to be mixing on our own separate sheet of paper. This is where we're going to test it out before putting on our exercise sheet. You'll need a clean brush. You'll need a paper towel for wiping your brush off, and a cup of water to share. You only need a small amount of water. Do not fill it up all the way because, trust me, accidents happen, and the more water that's in there, the more that's able to spill. To start off, we're going to start with the pure color. I'm going to grab a little bit of blue from the edge, and this is not getting mixed, so I'm just going to go straight onto my exercise sheet and fill in my square where it says color. Again, that's just my pure color, straight from the tube, blue. No black, no white. Just blue. For my next part, I'm going to start with my tints. So I'm going to grab from the corner the teeniest bit, a teeny bit, barely touching the outside edge. Do not come and streak, you do not need to scoop, you just need a teeny bit on your paper. Then I'm going to test out my color and mix it on my extra sheet of paper. This is slightly lighter than the pure color. I'm going to put that as my next color. It is blue with the teeniest bit of white. I'm going to repeat that by adding a little bit more white. Again, just a little teeny dab. Go back to that same mixture. Mix it together. This is now slightly lighter, a slightly lighter tint. We are making this value scale of very light color to very dark color. So again, I'm going to repeat that next step for the last box. Tiny dab, okay? We don't need to get blue mixed into this. We want to keep that pure white for the next student who's going to use this. Mix on our little separate paper, mix it up, and if, for example, I don't think it's white enough, you can go back in, grab a little bit more, okay? But we only need a teeny bit of paint. This is a very small paper, a very small square. I do not want to see globs of paint on your paper, okay? And then our final one is right here, and again, I'm looking here, my brush had a little bit of blue on it, so I'm going to actually go back in, just like I said, dip, add a little bit more white, and mixing that together. It should be almost white, very light blue here. So whatever color you're working with, very light, little light, teeny light, pure color. Now we're going to work on the shades. So I'm going to first wipe off my brush in my paper towel, get all the excess paint off. This will help it get cleaner more easily. Then I'm going to go back into the water, dab it a bit, wipe off the excess water, and then also you can wipe it on a paper towel, and then we already have the pure color. So again, I'm going to take a dab of blue with my clean brush, put it on my paper. Now, the tiniest amount of black. Black is a really strong color to mix with. Tiny bit of black. Mix that into my blue. It should be a slightly darker shade now. I'm then going to put that next to this blue. It has the teeniest bit of black mixed into that pure blue. I'm going to fill in my square. Now, I need the next darkest shade. Again, reaching from the side. I'm not mixing in a big chunk of blue. Taking a teeny little dot of black. Adding that in, mixing it on my paper. Filling in the next square. It's a slightly darker blue. And then my last one, again, another teeny dab. Mixing it together, it is almost pure black, this final one. And I have a beautiful value scale now from light to dark. As a reminder, right, we're mixing on a separate sheet of paper, not on the palette, okay? When we take our paints, okay, we're making sure our brush is clean. You can use the water, you can use a paper towel to clean off your brush, and you're taking a little teeny bit. These are small squares. You don't need a giant glob on either of your papers, okay? This should be enough for the entire class to use today. And again, we're not taking a dirty brush and streaking it through the colors, right? You want to make sure you are just taking a little from the side, okay? I'm going to show you a non-example of what a palette looks like with too much paint. So I don't want to see, right, all these mixing on the side. This makes it messier for other students. That's ruined, Okay, I don't want to see you scooping in dirty brushes. Okay, this ends up with a lot of wasted materials that I end up having to give a new amount of paint, and this is just wasted, and that's sad. Okay, so please make sure that, again, we're cleaning off our brush before taking water, and that we're only taking a small amount. Okay, because we can always get more. You don't want to end up with a ton on your paper, because that will make it take longer to dry and make it very heavy paper for the drying rack, and it might fall through and get crumpled. We're going to be practicing making 3 different value scales for 3 different colors. If you want to do it with gray, you are going to be using just white and black, and for that I actually suggest, and I will do that example quickly, starting with white. Okay, you're going to start with pure white, put that in the white square. And then, same idea, you're going to take white, put it on your mixing paper, tiniest bit of black. Mix that in. Okay, teeny little bit, maybe a little bit more for that. Teeny bit. But even that's maybe a little too dark. So I'm gonna go back in from the side, scoop a little bit. That will be my first light gray. If your brush gets really dry and it's not really moving the paint well, you might want to add a little bit of water to your brush, but this is very thin paper, so you don't want to have a ton of water on your brush and having it soak up the paper. Next, again, teeniest bit of black, adding to that. Make it slightly darker. That'll be my next one. Again, it's a little dry, it's a teeny bit of water. Okay, same thing, a little bit more black, mixing it in. Every step, just a teeny bit more. Even this, I'm a little worried that's a little too dark, so I'm actually going to go back in from my corner. See, it hasn't dirtied that a teeny bit. Make it a little lighter, actually. Teeny bit. See, that actually is too much. Sometimes that happens. That's why we practice. Okay? Go back in. But again, if I already had a lot of paint on my paper, I'd be just moving around way too much paint. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. I'm gonna go back in with that other gray I'd made. That was a little darker. And get that down. Kind of ran out of paint, so I'm gonna go back in. Slightly darker. And then, again, a little bit more black each time. Just a teeny bit more. Until we get to the point that we're at like a pure black. Again, if it's too dry, if you're getting that kind of dry brush texture, just add a little bit of water to your paintbrush, but you don't want to drown your paper, okay? And that would be a grayscale. Again, maybe I want a little bit darker. You can go back in and fix it. This is your day to practice and experiment with making different shades of the same color, or again, you can do a grayscale one as well. With the color, you start with the pure color. With the grayscale, I would start with either white, you could start with black, and then add a little bit of the opposite color. But with the color, start with the pure color, add a little white, or add a little black. Okay, have fun practicing.